With a potential spoiler regarding Ronda Rousey and reports of 2 WWE stars returning to the company soon, this is Wrestling Hub. My name is John and you're watching the Wrestling Report for April 25th. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Hub and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at WrestlingHubOfficial and also follow us on Twitter at Wrestling_Hub. With the Raw Tag Team Champions RK Bro set to face off against the SmackDown Tag Champs the Usos at WrestleMania Backlash in a title unification bout, Dave Meltzer would say on Wrestling Observer Radio that the team of Randy Orton and Riddle was not supposed to last more than a month. I think they're just great as a team. Obviously, it was something they fell into because it was never, people know this, but the idea was for them to team for 3 weeks and have Randy Orton turn on Matt Riddle. That was the idea. It didn't happen because it's like, well, let's go a little longer. And then all of a sudden it's like, we shouldn't break these guys up. And hopefully they remember that they shouldn't break these guys up. Although, you know, at some point it is bound to happen because it's WWE. And when you have a tag team, unless it's the New Day or something like that, and even with the New Day, there's always people who always want them to break up. Sometimes you have to fight to stay together. That's always that thing of wanting to break up the teams. Talking about the upcoming SmackDown event in UK, Meltzer pointed out that RK Bro will be missing some shows. It's not a full-blown UK tour where everybody goes. It's really just SmackDown, and Orton and Riddle are going though. So Orton and Riddle will probably miss next week's Raw, you know, the Raw before. But they'll be on the SmackDown show since they did the contract signing on the tape show. On his Extreme Life podcast, Matt Hardy would touch on him and his brother wrestling on AEW Dark and Elevation. While Booker T would call this a demotion for the Hardys, Matt explained why AEW president Tony Khan made this call. That tag team match was going to be on Rampage, and Tony said, well, I feel like we're just giving the fans a Dynamite and want to give them all the stars that are here. I want to give them the best experience possible. Would you be okay just moving this Rampage match so they see the Hardys? We'll take that Rampage match that I talked about doing and just bump it to Elevation. And that way, the live card gets to see you, and it'll be a huge match for Elevation. Hopefully, that'll do a great number online. Speaking of AEW, Tony Schiavone spoke about the merger between Discovery and Warner Media, claiming it could lead to a streaming service for the company. From the people I've talked with, no. From me on the surface, yes, because I know what happened before. But I think we have a viable enough product that if Discovery says we don't want wrestling, we could end up somewhere else. The cons are pretty plugged in. That's what's different about this era, is that if Time Warner/Discovery doesn't want us, we still have a business. I think there's always some concern, but we've built up a very good relationship with Warner Media. If this merger comes, as we've been reading, they've been clearing out a lot of people. It seems to me they are really big into streaming services. What I hope this means is that we are finally going to have a streaming service. In other words, we're finally going to have our own network we can show our old shows. With him appearing on screen with Vince McMahon and recently winning the US title, Theory looks to have a bright future in WWE. WrestleVotes recently reported that, now that his push is in full effect, source states he anticipates bigger and bigger things for Theory. A person with direct knowledge states Vince sees a young John Cena in Theory, and will give the kid everything he needs to be successful. A few days back, Theory posted a video of him holding the US title in front of a John Cena fan, claiming being the champion makes him better. As Cena has now responded, everyone understands that you have far more talent, strength, and gifts than I ever had. Don't apologize for that, ever. An apology should come 20 years from now if you fail to provide the effort needed to turn your potential into your legacy. I hope that day never comes. On the Straight Shooters podcast, Eddie Kingston, who has become a mainstay for AEW, was asked if he would ever jump ship to another wrestling company, to which he replied, "Where am I gonna go, dog? I'm good. I worked for this. I don't care. I don't. I worked for this. AEW gave me my shot first, right? You know what I mean? I'm a loyal guy. I'm not knocking anybody. Just chill. But when people say, yeah, I'm here forever, that's cool. That's them. I'm telling you, from me, and my word is my bond. I ain't got nowhere else to go and don't want to be anywhere else. I'm having a blast trying to beat up people in the ring, trying to be world champ. Wherever I'm at, trying to be better than I was yesterday." Following the announcement from the New Japan Pro Wrestling and AEW presidents that a joint pay-per-view would be taking place at the United Center in Chicago on June 26th, the NJPW president, Takami Obari, took to Twitter to reveal he saved a little girl from possible death with his post translated by Reddit user Damien62. I just returned to Japan and am on my way home by train. A few minutes ago, a girl who could barely stand fell between the train and the platform. She was lying on the platform, and with the help of her mother, we managed to pull her up. Her little face could barely fit through the gap. Parents beware. Since I retired from volleyball, my height has never been so useful. My heart is still racing. While he previously made it known to the public that he wanted to be released from WWE, it seems Mustafa Ali could be appearing on Raw tonight. Fightful Select has learned that as of this weekend, a possible return to WWE TV for Mustafa Ali was discussed. There was a pitch made for him to actually appear on Raw Monday, though we can never be sure that something like that will actually happen until he appears on the air due to the constant changes of the program. Ali has not appeared on WWE programming since October and had been booked to lose 11 consecutive matches across Raw, SmackDown, and pay-per-view. He was drafted to the SmackDown brand in the fall, but had an argument with Vince McMahon over his creative direction that led to him being off television and not backstage for months. Ali voiced his frustration and publicly asked for his release in January after not being on TV for 2 months. It was reiterated to us at that point that despite the fact that he had a child, he asked for only 1 week off of television at that point and was willing to work. In an update, we can confirm that Ali is tentatively scheduled for the April 25th Raw. Speaking of returns, Asuka has not been seen since July, but Fightful is claiming her comeback is happening soon. There are imminent plans for Asuka return to WWE Raw as of this weekend. We've learned that as of this weekend, the plan was for her to enter at least a short-term program with Becky Lynch as soon as Monday's Raw, though, as is always the case, nothing for WWE TV or Pro Wrestling TV until it actually happens. While she came up short against Charlotte Flair at Mania, Ronda Rousey gets another crack at the SmackDown Women's Champion at WrestleMania Backlash. On Wrestling Observer Radio, Meltzer mentioned why it looks like Ronda will end up beating Flair for the title. The thing is, I think Ronda's getting the title, because it would be really bad for her to lose an I Quit match. So I think she's getting the title, but Lacey Evans is a babyface, her natural opponent is Charlotte, because Charlotte is the top heel woman on that SmackDown brand. But things can happen, maybe that's for down the line. After being involved in a fatal 3-car accident, Tammy Sytch, known to WWE fans as Sunny, could be charged with wrongful death. The Ormond Beach Police Department suspects Sunny was intoxicated when she caused the accident that led to the death of a 75-year-old man. Authorities claim she failed to stop and was traveling at a high rate of speed. But now Sunny is firing back at fans online. One person on Twitter asked, "Question for you. How fast were you going when you slammed into the poor old guy stopped at a traffic light and killed him? His life ended for what reason? Were you on your way to a fire or drunk or high?" Sunny replied, about 10 since I was slowing down to light, but he had a heart attack, nothing to do with my seizure. She would go on to write, "Question for all. Why follow me and others just to write nasty comments and derogatory remarks? Is your life that boring? Can you think of something to do, like assemble Legos or dress like Star Wars characters? Doesn't it show your insecurities?" A search warrant was approved for police to obtain a blood sample from Sunny, as the results could lead to an arrest for the WWE Hall of Famer. After revealing that he almost lost his ability to see due to a tumor, WWE's resident big man Omos went into detail with Ryan Satin out of character on the conditions that make him a medical anomaly. "My coach in college said to me, I don't know who this guy is, but it seems like he's a very high up guy on the campus. I want you to look at his email." So I read it and he just stated that, "Hey, I noticed that one of your guys has a tumor by the side of his face. He has a pituitary tumor and needs to get checked out ASAP. I'm reading this email like, no way, I'm fine. fine. I looked at my coaches and I said, I don't think I have anything, but hey, I'm gonna do it just so I can have peace of mind. The next Wednesday, they set up an MRI appointment. The MRI takes about a couple of days to come back. The following Monday, I came to practice. I go to the trainer's room. They said to go upstairs to the coach's office. I walked into the coach's office and there was the president of the university and all the doctors from the office were there. They said, so this is an MRI right here of your brain. Do you see that little speck right there? You have a brain tumor. We don't know whether it's benign or it's a cancerous tumor, and we're going to have to figure out how to deal with this. Literally a month after the MRI, I had the surgery and they had to go through my nose. It was very, very traumatic, but in the process of doing the testing, they found that not only do I have the pituitary tumor, I have partial Cushing's disease, which is very rare. There are different forms of large human beings, but it's a different variation, and I had all of these combinations. It was the first time in medical history with someone with all three together. It became this sort of anomaly in the medical world. I had a journal published about my case. And this was your pro wrestling news update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.